We're headed into lunchtime here, so I thought I'd take a couple of minutes and go over some crude oil trades, and we can kind of go through this together if you'd like. Obviously, we're having the reverse of yesterday, and I think we're going to find that there's quite a bit of that. If we have crude oil take a real run to the upside the next, especially on a Monday, the next day, Tuesday, it will come down off of some of those highs. But anyway, we have the VIX is still holding around 30, and for the indices traders, there's quite a lot of fear in these index markets right now of what may happen and what the Feds are likely to do with this interest rate. They run hot and cold over whether they're going to raise rates in September or let it ride. And because we're headed into the last quarter of this year, and a lot of these big money managers have got funds they have to reposition to keep their balance with their designated purposes for all their various sectors that they have to manage. We're going to see some volatility here. Brent has, yesterday Brent crude had a wonderful day, and today it's been steadily going down. So if we look at crude oil for these trades, by the way, I didn't do a mic check. Does anybody hear me? I'm hoping the answer is okay. Thanks. All right, you have to, I was going to say you have to tell me if you can't hear me, but then how would you know I'm even talking if you can't hear me? Anyway, whenever you're trying to evaluate any market, I prefer to start with a bigger picture and then drill down to what I can do with the information in the here and now. So if we look at this 30-minute, I'll try to get these all set to pointers there. If we look at this 30-minute chart, it's real easy to see a bigger picture of how this major magnet right in here and the relationship of our ice lines. You notice there's a very small distance between the mid ice line at 48.68 up here to the green at 49.33. That is a fairly short distance from what we have been seeing. But look at the distance down. So this is a clue that the expectation for the market would be down. We opened well below settlement today, which is another indication. And when it could not hold this major magnet right here at the open, very close to the open, then it's just taken one 30-minute down, except for this one, and down and down and down. For this to turn around, people get into something like this and they say, well, gee, I want to go long, I want to go long. You need to see something very clear that would lead you to believe that this bus driver is through driving south. And right now I don't see that. Coming into the close, that may change. But on our trend catcher chart, I try to get this. These entries that trend catcher puts up are usually very good, particularly in a trend like this. But I always revert to my tried and true 12 tick. So if you were looking at this, say from around 9ish, it tried to put in, when you see these choppy little bunchy together apexes here, that's a lot of indecision. And we're already noticing that the general idea for today has been down. So when this thing forms, these it refuses to clear this zone, our zone right here, which is a volume zone. Keep that in mind. You could take this with entries. Sometimes people like me to mark these entries. You could take an entry off of the deviation, or 2 or 3 ticks below it. You could use the classic 3 ticks below the E, which would put you darn close to the next magnet. You could use the magnet. You still have the MVP predictor that's giving you an idea to stay south on that. But when it gets down here, there are a number of things. You could take it from the top right here, back up here. Once you get the hang of getting these entries south, then you have a trade to manage. So for instance, if you took this one, even as far as this magnet is, you're certainly profitable. Down to this, I believe, is a, I'm not sure why that green line is in there. I think it's an overlap, so it makes or an overlay, makes that appear more so. Down to the low of the day, and then this is an A coming right off of this. These mountain reversals are pretty darn easy to spot. I like those a lot. What I don't like is this chop in here, and this is bad guy country. When it starts to do this and you've got this stuff, I just stand aside, let them have it, and sooner or later you'll get a better spot. But just by going from the deviations to the magnets and following this thing, if you would like, at 2:30 this afternoon, with everybody, I'm assuming, pretty much finished trading crude oil. This is just a beautiful trend right here, and notice how this just kept on climbing and climbing and climbing. If you would like, I'll put up this this chart that Lori and I have been kind of looking at this. It's similar to what Mike's got up on the NQ, and I think there is some value to this. I am kind of liking this thing. You know, it takes me a long time to warm up to some new indicator. I want to see what happens. But I'm beginning to think if we all had one of these charts up, and there are not set tried and true rules because it's so new. But that's the beauty of us all trading together, because then we can start to make up some rules, because each of us will see things a little bit differently. And when it becomes repeatable, then we can all take advantage of that. So at 2:30, if you'd like for me to do that, I'll put that chart up, and we can take a little time and go over how it relates to all of this, because I know a lot of people, especially when you're new, have a problem with you know, checking this chart and that chart and the next chart and over here, and my goodness, there's so much happening. It's difficult to focus because you haven't yet got a filter on your brain. I look at the charts that Daryl uses, and I mean, I'm practically unnerved in 3 seconds. And he doesn't realize he's got a filter on his brain. He sees right through the stuff he doesn't want to use right then, and it doesn't bother him. So he's real successful with that kind of stuff. Me, not so much. I like it all laid out. So I will see you at 2:30. Coming off of this lunchtime, I'm hesitant to think this can go too much lower, but of course it always can. And there's a red ice line down here, so we'll see if it gets down that far, but I would expect it to turn back there, if not before. So I'll see you all at 2:30. This has been my view from my world at Apex Land.